to fight for number one, or in this case for number two as they go. Look at that, Elvis ranking up the inside. He wants that for that Skip Barber Racing School seat, and he is going to do everything he can to get there as well.
Here we go. Down no name straight, but he's just defended well, but Rankin gets through, nips by. Want a seat in the Skip Barber Formula iRacing series, you have to be one of the 20 best. If you want to be top 3 in this series, it will guarantee you an opportunity to race in the Skip Barber Racing Series. You have to, though, go through the brand new circuit of the Americana. We've got ourselves brilliant action. We've got ourselves amazing showcases of 2 races tonight, and it's Circuit of the Americas that brings it through. I'm Jake Sperry. That's Chaz Draycott, who's alongside me for the ride. And Chaz, we've come here at the midway point of the season, knowing that there are 2 juggernauts in this series, both who have different paths to get to the top. The first is Diogo Pinto, who was at the double. And then, of course, you've got the young superstar, of course, that is Sebastian Weldon. Those 2 are the big highlights to keep an eye out on here tonight.
Yeah, they absolutely are, Jake, and what a fantastic place to go racing this evening, Circuit of the Americas. As you rightly say as well, we're going into the second half of the season. Technically, race 1 is in the first half of the season, and race 2 is the second half this evening. 5 race meetings this season, 2 races at each, and this is going to be probably one of the best race meetings we're going to have. It's such a difficult circuit, but there's a lot of amazing prizes on offer, which is really going to ramp up the heat for our drivers tonight.
Absolutely. There are 10 races in this season. They are all worth the same. There's no major race here, but what you can say is that there are prizes that you absolutely wish you could have. For example, a full season, the 2023 Skip Barber Formula Race Series, worth $500,000. Each driver, though, knows that each race is important. $1,000 worth of credit to the Skip Barber Racing School for each win, and the hard charge of the driver who gains the most places throughout each race, each individual race, will get themselves a very, very nice prize as well. But this is how the championship looks. Now, note, there are 2 drop rounds. We haven't put them in just yet, and anybody who doesn't have a number next to their name has not here today racing. But what is crucial is that gap. 16 points for Diogo Pinto. He's at the top here, Chaz, and he is certainly looking like he is in buoyant form.
Absolutely. You know, the racecraft that we saw from him at Road Atlanta last time out was just immaculate. And unfortunately for Matt Caruana, it was him on the receiving end of some brilliant moves on both occasions. At the same corner, the last lap, and Diogo did 1 in each race on either side of him. It was a real schooling, it must be said, by Diogo. But that's nothing to take away from how good Matt Caruana was, though. He really showed how good his pace can be and his racecraft as well. And racecraft is going to be the name of the game here tonight, isn't it, Jake? There's so many different technical elements to this circuit at Circuit of the Americas. They really have to have their wits about them.
They do, especially up that massive climb to turn 1, the Big Red, as it is known here in Austin, Texas. And you've got that fantastic first sector, very similar to Silverstone over in the United Kingdom. But when you get up to turn 11 and then along to turn 12, that's where the prime overtaking place is today, heading into that arena section around the observatory tower through 16, 17 and 18, the triple right, very similar to the Istanbul City Park circuit. And then, of course, those final 2 corners, transferring style corners, the short run to the finish line. It's going to be a showcase, and here is the driver who qualified here, Chaz. Number 1 through the hot laps. You have to qualify through the hot lapping system here with the Skip Barber Racing School through time trialing. The top 20 drivers via their hot laps book their ticket each week. Michael Janney, the fastest of the lot, and number 1 hasn't been the easiest this season.
No, absolutely. We've seen a number of drivers that have had the number 1 on their machines so far this season, double so far. But they've been the one that they have to sort of feel a bit of extra pressure by going into this race evening as the fastest from the week preceding it. And with Michael Janney at the top of it, he is definitely going to be feeling that pressure. Doesn't look like it at the moment, though. We've realised by now that he's always very straight-faced, always looks really calm and collected, does Michael Janney. So it doesn't always look like anything's going to faze him in terms of his emotion on his face anyway. You can see he's just weaving slightly now to get the tyres up to temperature. Sebastian Weldon was second fastest this week. Harley Horton was third ahead of Simone Pisone and Matt Caruana. And everybody's positions, as we noted last week, Jake, they are basically the number on the car.
It is, and that shows you who's maybe got the first indication of a form book here today. Those two races both will be 15 minutes long, and the results from race number 1 indicate how race number 2 is going to go about things today. So keep that in focus in terms of how they race, because if you've managed to have a bad race in race 1, you can still pull it back in race number 2. Dropping it down, trying to get the last little bit of temperature possible out of the iRacing Formula IR04, and now through turn number 20. Let's gear it up then from a driver's eye view. This is a lap around the circuit of the Americas and Michael Janney's qualifying lap. For more information on how to start your iRacing career, you can log on to iRacing.com today. This is your exact view in sim as you look to go through. Slight correction of oversteer into turn 1. You're always fighting as you plateau over the top of the hill. The grip falls away, and now through turn 2 you head to the S's section, and this is where, under the Echo Park Bridge, you have to be really alert, because you can see those yellow anti-cut curbs jutting out through this section of road, Chaz, and it means you are on a knife's edge dancing through this opening sector.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece of racing track, isn't it? You have to clip those apexes perfectly. You and I have both seen touring cars, GT cars, and definitely little Formula cars like this sent absolutely skyward by those devastating curbs. What a fantastic run this looks like by Michael Janney so far, though. He's gone through the little kink at turn 10, down towards 11. It's very, very wide here, and the apex disappears off the side of your screen, so it's hard to always nail that if you're on a single monitor. Most of the drivers at this level will be running on triple, so they'll have that peripheral vision. And then the long run down towards turn 11, a pivotal point of the circuit tonight, though, Jake. Lots of slipstreaming going on down here.
Yes, and you can sense roller coaster section of a straight. Now it's leaned slightly to the right. It's all about picking the right moment to use your braking. And you can see coming up then, next on iRacing, of course, we'll have the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup from the brand new Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours. You can see that with us, of course, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock GMT with us, as well as NASCAR College Series, which is heading to Dover over on Tuesday, February the 21st. You can tune in with us live, twitch.tv/iRacing for that. Through the triple right-hander, though, after traversing the arena section, which has 1,000 lines. Janney right up heavy against the curb. Now looking at this next left, important left, turn 19. It's a transfer. You don't want to push out too wide here because you'll lose time. Przemysław Lemonek, currently the fastest driver of anybody at this moment. A 2:06.3 is the time to beat. Oversteer through the final corner, trying to get it all sorted. Michael Janney, 2:06.397 is 2/10 adrift and ends up in third position. Harley Horton, currently the fastest driver over the course of that lap time, and looking towards the line. Matt Adams is going to be one of the last ones over the line. Crucially, someone who didn't get a time in is number 2, Sebastian Weldon, as the checkered flag comes out. Adams unable to get a time, so the field will stack up as follows. It will be number 3, Harley Horton, who has got the car on pole position, has done so by 0.2 of a second ahead of Przemysław Lemonek in second position, and Michael Janney, who we were on board with, in third. It seems like the Polish drivers here today have found a circuit that they love, because Jakub Maciejewski is in fourth, with Diogo Pinto, the double winner last time out, in fifth, and Josh Thompson, who's third in the championship, in sixth position. Michael Romanidis and Johannes Trout making his first start of the season. They are 7th and 8th, with Simone Pisoni 9th and Josh Poulain in 10th position. Matthew Zace and Matt Caruana share row 6 of the grid, with Brandon Hawkin and Matt Busa in 13th and 14th. Jordan Johnson and Ross Banfield are on the 8th row, and drivers who didn't set a time, Matt Adams and Sebastian Weldon, the 18 cars here today, looking to make sure that their race is going to be fantastic. And Chaz, we sit here getting ourselves ready for what is all important 2 races that they have here today. And if you're down at the back of the field like Sebastian Weldon is, and you've used both your drop rounds, this now needs to be an absolutely mega run today through 15 minutes.
It absolutely does. Yeah, you're right. I mean, we've seen just how good Sebastian is. You know, he's definitely got that racing pedigree, but it's going to be a lot more work than we saw him do at Lime Rock, starting that far down the order. 18th place, the last car starting this evening. It is going to be very, very tough, but I have all faith in him. And to be honest, the level of talent we've seen from these drivers since this competition began again this season has been absolutely amazing. There is your race format, though. As you can see, we've got the fixed setup tonight as well. So all of the drivers, all the equipment is all the same. It's down to the drivers themselves. And I love racing like that, Jake, because it means that no one's at a disadvantage. No one can moan about the car. Everyone's got the same equipment, and everyone has to just put every ounce of talent they've got in behind the wheel as they get rolling.
They absolutely do, and that is going to be crucial. And you can join in for the Skip Barber Formula iRacing series. For more information on the schedule, how to become a member in the series, you can log on to skipbarber.com/iRacing series today as we watch the pace car lead these 18 around the middle of this circuit through this brilliant switchback arena section where you can take many different lines to try and get that run through. The inside line, the outside line, both have their pros and cons, and it's a very unique and clever way that this circuit works. For Harley Horton, though, number 3 on pole position, you would say that he had a damage limitation style week. Did, though, Chaz, very quickly get a penalty from race 1 last week, so race 3 of the championship, which demoted him all the way back to 10th place.
Yeah, it's going to be devastating to have a setback like that, but at the end of the day, it's how you bounce back from things like this in a championship that people are going to remember. And it gives you a fantastic platform to be able to make one of these amazing stories where you do come back from a setback like that. And that is, like I say, what people are going to look at. So hopefully we do see a good bounce back, but it's all down to the drivers now, and they line up 2 by 2 behind our wonderful pace car, which is going to dart off to the left-hand side in a moment. And the action is going to begin. I'm really excited for this one, Jake. Let's get the race underway, shall we?
Horton, Lemonek, Jani, Maciejewski, Pinto, your top 5 as they exit turn 20, waiting for the green flag to drop and that massive crest up towards Big Red. 15 minutes then on the clock. They will wait for the start line, and it's a very, very deliberate hold from Harley Horton. Green flag then in the air, and watch as they all fan out, looking to try and find a bit of an angle. Everyone juts to the inside then, trying to cover off. They are swarming behind Harley Horton as they run through this corner, which is 5-6 cars wide, and will just crescendo and tighten in as they reach themselves through. But it's a nice clean start as they all run through. Brilliant racing here for 3rd position. That's Jakub Maciejewski there, trying to deal with Przemysław Lemonek, who's dropped back a little bit then off of the works. Then Michael Jani's dropped to place off the start. But brilliantly, it is all clean through this opening section as they now look to run single file through the S's.
Yeah, nice and tidy by Maciejewski to get right up behind Lemonek now. His countrymen 2nd and 3rd. Harley Horton made a great getaway, but wasn't it amazing? He didn't catch anybody napping at all. The whole field jolted forward at the exact same time. It was a beautiful thing and just shows you how good the reactions of these drivers are. But everybody surviving the first few corners, and already Sebastian Weldon moving up from 18th place to 14th. Now make that 12th in just a couple of corners. Oh, no, he's gone back down again. There's a spin, there's contact. Oh, whoa. Weldon is the one that's backwards, isn't it?
No, it's Matt Caruana who's backwards, and troubles then already on this opening lap. And turn 10 is so very ideal for that sort of late lunge down to the inside. You can easily get yourself caught out. On the brakes they go then, in towards this brilliant left-hand bend. And now you start gearing up this arena section. Horton covering off on that first section. Lemonek then in 2nd, Maciejewski 3rd, and Michael Jani in 4th position then. And it's all about staying in a range through this section of track. You want to be out there, you want to be aggressive, but we're going to have ourselves a little look at what just happened then over at turn number 10 out on circuit. Now this is Sebastian Weldon, who's getting very eyes on, thinks, yes, I can go down to the inside. Just can't get it stopped though, with Matt Caruana taking the corner, and that is a little bit of youthful inexperience. Weldon, the youngest driver in this field, and you just felt that you've just got to be a little bit earlier on the brakes. Lap 1, that section, as out of the final corner, Lemonek takes the slow down penalty. Thank you very much. He'll lose a boat of position.
Yeah, loads of drivers just coasting past him, and it's painful for Lemonek. He can't do anything about it now. Basically, he's gone outside of track limits by enough that the sim has determined that he got an advantage from it, and he must slow down and give back time. And he drops all the way down to 7th position now. That awesome start that he made is completely undone. But you're absolutely right, Jake. A little bit of just overzealousness there from Sebastian Weldon, unfortunately. He saw the opportunity, threw it down the inside, but of course with a corner that wide and with that tight an apex, so many cars and so many different lines, there is always going to be contact down there with a move like that, I'm afraid. But now Sebastian has to pick himself up, dust himself off, and crack on with the race. It looks like Matthew Zeiss has stopped out on track, though. He's dropped down to the bottom of our timing tower. I wonder if we can find out what happened to him in a bit. But we see now Premslav Lemonek trying to catch back up with that train in front, because these sorts of sections here are very, very tough to get right, and everybody can drive in a straight line here, Jake, so that's the easy bit.
Yeah, he looked like he woke himself up a little bit there through the middle of those X's sections. A wake-up, Premslav. You've got yourself a race on your hands. Speaking of race on your hands, Josh Thompson and Diogo Pinto. This is going to be an interesting race between those two drivers. Of course, when you get out of this series, they are teammates in terms of their sim racing careers. So for Diogo Pinto and Josh Thompson, who are first and third in the championship, they're going to be looking at, okay, well, what can we do in order to get ourselves the drivers that we want? We want to stay with Michael Jani and Jakub Maciejewski, who find themselves in second and third positions at this moment. And already that gap at the front out to a 1 second advantage for Harley Horton. So it looks like he's got himself the opportunity to say, I am back in this one overall. So we do have to note that Matthew Zeiss is in trouble and is out then of the race after the opening lap. He is down in the pit, so troubles then for Matthew Zeiss, and we'll get a little look at exactly what happened to him a little bit later on. But at least for the moment now, it's about staying in range, and this is where Michael Jani is looking to use his experience, which he would have learned from a driver that he is teammates with when he gets out of this series, who just so happens to have been second position and won the Skip Barber Racing Series here, Chaz, in Elvis Rankin.
Yeah, absolutely. Elvis showed them all how it was done last season, didn't he? And Michael Jani has been in the perfect place to learn from that. He's in the perfect place now to follow on with Maciejewski in front of him, but the two of them losing a bit of ground to Harley Horton. There's a bit of a shimmy around in the background, a couple of places changing there. I think it was Lemonek overtaking Pisoni. You don't normally see many overtakes through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because it's a very, very fast sweeping section, really flowing. But we're going to have a look now and take a quick ganders at replay and see exactly what happened here.
So this is Johannes Trout, who finds himself going through the arena section, and the back switches around, and it's troubles then from that point onwards, thinking about trying to get that going again, and lost a lot of time. The serpentine in the background then, as we focus a little bit further forward on this race going for second position, as here comes Michael Jani to the inside of Jakub Maciejewski, gets the nose alongside ahead by the time he hits the brakes, and Maciejewski is only a passenger at that point. He just has to sit and watch exactly what happens as it gets busy behind. This is the group of Simone Pisoni, and that's Jordan Johnson who's just gone through. Matt Booser's also looking for a way through, but look at this through the S's section. They're all starting to just tiptoe and trickle up over each other at this point. You get this sense that the moment you start battling in this series, Chaz, everybody else behind gets a free ticket to latch onto the back, and this is why we see so many times 3-car, 4-car, 5-car battles heading towards the end of races.
Yeah, it's been brilliant to watch so far, hasn't it? Because you do see these little pairs and trios all sort of develop and build up, and then all of a sudden there's a battle in the middle of it and it splits up again, and then they all get a chance to sort of evolve and morph, and then they come back together again. It's just magnetic racing. I absolutely love it. It's like a Lego set that never wants to be pulled apart. But Horton and Jani at the front at the moment, they're the two that are leading the charge. However, one of them's under pressure and one of them is not, although Maciejewski has Pinto going down the inside into turn 1 out of nowhere. Diogo Pinto picks his opportunity, makes the move, makes it stick, and now gets back into a podium position. And you can bet that his teammate, outside of this series anyway, Josh Thompson, is going to try and follow him through. Look, Maciejewski's having to be a little bit more patient here. He's going to get a little bit of aero wake off the car in front through a section like that. Not a massive amount from these cars, but still enough to upset your rhythm slightly. And I mean, we saw a moment ago with Trout how easily the car can go around just with that tiny bit of over rotation. Look at Pinto floating the back end bit round there as they come out of turn 9 through the kink at 10 down towards 11, and you can see that these guys really are pushing right now just to try and get back up with Harley Horton.
Absolutely, they are dancing at this moment in time, and for Michael Jani, that gap at 1.5 seconds at this point, he would absolutely love to claw that back. But the group now, second position on back, stretches I would say, to 7th, because Przemysław Lemonex got on the back of it with Josh Poulain. He's also trying to get back into this race at this stage. We're over halfway now through this opening race. On the brakes, you can sense how Michael Janney is just having to be careful with the rear of this machine. You don't want to try and get through and deal with too much. We're going to have a little look then at an overtake then in just a second. Now, this is up into turn number 1. This is how Diogo Pinto makes this move then. He senses there's an opportunity, and because it's so wide over at turn number 1, it's very easy to fan straight to the inside. But with the unique nature of turn 1, Chaz, the more that you go for the inside, the more you check yourself up in the middle of the corner. You're almost having to do the dirt oval slide job, essentially, to try and make the pass.
Yeah, there's a number of corners on this circuit that are rather similar in that respect. You know, you've got turn 1, turn 11, 12, 16 and 20, where there's such sharp corners that come back on themselves. If you do go for a move up the inside, you really compromise your own exit, and it's very easy for people to try and get a cutback. So it's important to park it on the apex. But even in doing that, you are compromising your own run out of the corner as well. So there's certainly corners that require commitment. There was a lot of that there from Diogo Pinto. As we look a little bit back here, that's Pisoni down the inside of Johnson. Hawkins involved in this as well, the 2 yellow cars. They're both trying to go all the way around the outside. It's not working, so they slot back into position now, flying formation through 3, 4, 5 and 6, and so on, etc. Great racing though, but these guys have dropped off from the pack ahead now, so they're going to need something major to catch back up. But look at that. You called it a serpentine before, Jake, and it's absolutely spot on. It's like a living organism, isn't it, of cars with wheels.
Simone Pisoni from Porto Dada in Italy, making Jarno Trulli very proud with the way that he's defending right now. He is very much the toughest character in this field to try and defend with. Johnson thought about the inside, moved to the outside, very nearly had Brandon Hawkins to deal with. Look at this, they're 2 by 2 behind almost for a moment, and in the middle of this, get this, number 2, Sebastian Weldon's still there. Simone Pisoni looking behind, thinking, oh, okay, what do I need to do here in this position? Well, it's just manage every driver behind. Here comes the look. Brandon Hawkins now is going to try and make a lunge. He's going to get one. He might actually get both of them. They're 3 wide in towards that brilliant left-hander, and just enough room given there. Tony has to yield on the outside, as through then will go Jordan Johnson to the inside of 2 of them, and now they double back on each other. This is scintillating stuff.
Absolutely incredible stuff that by Johnson to hang it around the outside, then have the inside to the next corner, but still Hawkins manages to hold on. Johnson runs a little bit wide. Pisoni's going to tuck back in behind him now, and then Sebastian Weldon's watching this and thinking, go on then, boys, I want a piece of this as well. You continue fighting. It was great to see Pisoni's tactic, though, with the slipstream. You could see that as Johnson pulled out to the left-hand side, Hawkins pulled out to the left-hand side, Pisoni moved over and gave him the slipstream to encourage the 2 of them to have a more equal battle going into the next corner, just in case he could get away with it. Hawkins kicks the back end out. That's now going to compromise him. And look at Weldon tucked right up behind Pisoni as well. I can sense ascending coming, Jake. He's licking the stamp.
Yeah, he doesn't wait very long, does Sebastian Weldon, to make moves, and he'll go up on the inside then with just a shade over 4 minutes to go. The battle for second up on the top of your screen, the battle for 8th underneath, and through then turn 2 goes the secondary pack. They're looking okay at the moment. Josh Thompson now looking behind him because he's got a battle of Joshes, because Josh Poulain who's there, and remember, he's got some very nice real-world experience as Josh Poulain, and he'll be using that experience of the Ginetta to try and get himself an understanding. And Chaz, how important is the Ginetta in terms of the understanding of how Josh Poulain's experience into open wheel goes?
Just quickly, sorry, Jake, but Sebastian Weldon ran wide there through that sort of sweeping right, left section. He got himself a slowdown. He's dropped back down to 15th place. But you're absolutely right. You know, the Ginetta, everyone would probably look at them and say, they're completely different cars, what you're on about. But you're absolutely right, though, because they're low-powered, really sort of floaty machines that you have to dance on the edge and really put on the limit to get most of the pace out of. You have to think about where you are in the race at the time, use the slipstream, and get as much out of the car as you can. People often say that, you know, the fastest cars are the difficult ones to drive because your reactions have to be so top-notch to be able to handle it. I often say it's the slower cars that are really, really difficult to drive because you've got so much pace that you can get out of it, but you have to extract that by driving the wheels off the thing. You know, you can't just be blessed with aerodynamics that can drag you around every corner perfectly, flat out everywhere. These cars require a lot more driver input and management and patience. And that's why the racing is so good, because everybody is on the limit of what they can do.
Michael Janney from Moncton, Maryland, trying to get himself then into what is third position right now. Jakub Maciejewski has found himself a way back through and up the place. So 2 positions down now for Michael Jani. He's got to really work hard, and they know with the times that they're running, there will be 2 laps to go in this race. Jani moving back to the outside, doesn't want to play games here. In fact, he'll try the old late move to the inside of Jakub Maciejewski. He will see it every stage of the way and runs him out of road on the outside. Maciejewski will have to drop the place, and just like that, Josh Thompson now senses an opportunity, but it's not easy to make a move through 3 into 4 into 5. This is not the easiest place to go and make those moves, so you have to fall into line through this section. Brilliant use of track position there from Michael Jani. He knew exactly where to place the car.
Yeah, you can bet that Maciejewski, though, he will not be too happy with that one. He'll feel that he had no option other than to go off the circuit. Didn't get a slowdown or anything for it by the look of it, so he's got away with it. But still, he will feel a little bit hard done by there. And now Josh Thompson wants a piece of this as well. Down in towards turn 10 they go. Sorry, into turn 11. And now throws it up the inside, and Przemysław Lemonek says, thank you, I'll have a bit of that as well, sunshine. But that doesn't quite work out for him. And now he works with his countryman, Maciejewski, to all slide into the slipstream. I think Thompson compromised his run a little bit there, because Maciejewski's definitely got a run on him. Although look at them all moving around this way and that way. It's not too bad to move around when it's only a little jink here and there like that. They're not completely going across the circuit as Maciejewski sends it big time. Josh is going to try and get the cutback I mentioned earlier on. He tries to make sure that Maciejewski doesn't gain anything by going off the circuit, and they remain side by side. And Przemysław Lemonek now, he's got a front row seat, Jake.
Well, the inside line for Josh Thompson, he can crowd out Maciejewski if he wants to, and you can't turn where you want to, Jakub, can you? And that brings Przemysław back in, but again, he just doesn't get the drive off the exit because he's so pinched on the inside, and Maciejewski holds once again that position. There will be the white flag coming out then here for Harley Horton, who had broken away at the front of the field, now 2.7 seconds clear at the front of this field. There he is right now, having an absolutely fantastic drive at this moment in time. Comes into today 16 points down, and the man from Manchester knows that he has got to look behind and say, I've built a gap over Diogo Pinto, and I'll be taking a little bit more out of it. Here comes the look up the hill, 2 wide, 2 deep. Thompson makes the move on Maciejewski. Lemonek looking behind at Josh Pillane, who's suddenly got into play, and now we have ourselves a really cool race on our hands here for 4th on back to 7th position.
Well, it's like he's thrown a grenade into the middle of the fight there, though. It's absolutely blown it apart. Look, there's a couple of car lengths between each of them, whereas before they were absolutely nose to tail. But still, the slipstream will be the great leveler in all of this when they get to that back straight. Coming up through turn 8 now, they're going to throw the cars to the left. I couldn't quite get the right word out for that one. Over the crest of the hill, down through the kink of 10, into turn 11. And now it is going to be the most important time of this race to get a decent run out of here, down towards turn 12.
Matt Adams has become the first victim here tonight of the anti-cut curb, so he is out of the race here in the Circuit of the Americas. Taking a look then on board with Josh Thompson, who will be looking behind at Jakub Maciejewski, who's trying to close down and take that 4th position away from the driver 3rd overall in the championship. It is so close, 3rd to 5th. There's just 1 point in it, and every position matters. Behind, Josh Pillane having a little look to the inside, couldn't quite manage it on Przemysław Lemonek there. So they have to stay in line as they run through this arena section, knowing that this next left-hander is the last great place to make a move. Thompson has it covered and scouted, though, through this section of track. So attentions now have to turn to car number 3 at the front of this field. Knew that from pole position, the one thing he couldn't do was lose the lead on the opening lap. He didn't, and then he did not look back from that point onwards. He is making a claim that this isn't going to be the Diogo Pinto show, the same way the Porsche Esports Super Cup was in 2022. Harley Horton takes race 1 here at COTA and says, I am firmly in the championship bout.
I've got to love that. I'm going to try and remain unbiased, being from the north of England. I live about 10 minutes outside of Manchester, and Harley Horton has done it for the northern boys. Fantastic drive, though. He didn't look back, like you say, Jake. A star performance that was. A lovely, lovely drive indeed. And look at these lot across the line. Fantastic stuff. Great flying formation. Of course, the start line much further back down the start-finish straight. Chaz, get it right. But another great race to start our evening, and technically that rounds out the first half of the season, Jake. Another wonderful, wonderful entertaining encounter.
5 great races. Harley Horton picks up the win and does so by almost 3 seconds over the Portuguese driver Diogo Pinto. Michael Jani would get the final spot on the podium with Josh Thompson 4th and Jakub Maciejewski in 5th. Przemysław Lemonek would finish 6th ahead of Josh Poulain, Brandon Hawkin, Jordan Johnson, and Michael Romanidis, then the Greek driver, rounding out the top 10. Matt Buser and Sebastian Weldon's adventurous race means 11th and 12th for them, with Simone Pisoni 13th, Ross Banfield in 14th, and Matt Caruana and Johannes Traut the last finishers. Non-finishers then, for anyone called Matt Adams and Matthew Zace, finding themselves in a little bit of trouble then here this evening. But we're going to step aside then for just one moment. We'll be back with the second half of the season starting in just a couple minutes.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Five races left then to kickstart a racing career. Circuit of the Americas, one race down in the books, one race left to go here tonight, and ultimately an incredible performance from Harley Horton, who was able to pick up the victory at pretty much a brilliant stroll here this evening. We've got him here right now in with us to have a conversation with. And Harley, important race there, important first race after what was a bit of damage limitation last time out. You have to say, coming back here is a massive confidence.
Yeah, I know you said it was a bit of a stroll, but I can assure you it was more like a sprint. I'm very sweaty in my rig right now. Yeah, honestly, it was all about trying to survive the start, and then we just put in lap after lap. Really good race. So hopefully we can do something similar in the second race.
So looking to try and break away again is going to be the key. But you look at turn number 1 and the amount of abilities that are there. Is there something quite frightening about going over to the pit wall and seeing about 2/3 of the grid follow you all the way there? Or is it just something that, okay, I'm used to it, I've done a lot of these races before?
Yeah, at first it's a bit of a scary thought, a scary sight, but you know, you have to, when you're driving at this level, you just have to turn your emotions. You have to think like a machine. So, you know, after a while, you get used to it. And it's just, you know, you want to be driving like, you know, your inputs want to be pixel perfect. You're not thinking about all that kind of stuff.
You've got one driver behind you then in Diogo Pinto, who is the championship leader. Are you looking at someone like Diogo going, well, I know he's quick. He's gained three places. Do you think that he's going to be your main challenger in this next race?
Yeah, Diogo's a very fast driver and a very good racer. So if I can't break away, it's going to be tough to keep them behind, but we'll do our best.
Well, we'll do our best. We'll see you do your best. Harley Horton then joining us then, a victory in race number 1. And Chaz, you know, let's talk about where we have been and where we are going. It is 3 very difficult circuits to end the season out, but you would say it's 3 circuits which pretty much perfectly encapsulate American racing and sim racing. Circuit of the Americas, the new, Virginia International Raceway, you could say the remodeled, and then Road America, which is a track that's remained unchanged since its inception.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a fantastic mix, though. That's the thing. I mean, Circuit of the Americas really proved to us there that all of these different elements that it's got very quick sweeping corners, it's got very start-stop sections as well, and big tight hairpins and slipstreaming opportunities. It's a perfect place to just show all of the elements that these cars have behind them and why they are such good race cars. I'm so excited for Virginia because that is going to be really tough. It's incredibly narrow there, and again, there's a lot of corners that you can only take one line around. But I think, to be honest, my favourite on the calendar is probably going to be Road America because the slipstreaming we're going to get there is going to be endless. Again, I come back to the fact that it's not the biggest thing with these cars, the slipstream, but still, it's a great element to focus on.
Harley Horton then, the results of race 1 determine the grid for race 2. Will have the pole position ahead of Diogo Pinto with Michael Janney and Josh Thompson 3rd and 4th. It's a Polish 3rd row of the grid. Jakub Maciejewski ahead of Przemysław Lemonek with Josh Pullein and Brandon Hawkin on row 4. Jordan Johnson will have Michael Romanidis alongside for company with Matt Buser and Sebastian Weldon then on row 6. It's then Simone Pisoni and Ross Banfield 13th and 14th with Matt Caruana and Johannes Traut with Matt Adams and Matthew Zace rounding out the 8-car field here for this second bout that they will have here today. Those 2 drop rounds are going to come in handy for a number of drivers, and they will also take note of what happened last season over at Virginia International Raceway, Chaz, where the leading 2 in the championship at that time, Mikael Garda and Elvis Rankin, came together on the final lap. So they'll have that to know that these last 5 races of the season are anything but plain sailing.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't really want to go into a championship and look at a circuit and say, that one's going to be my drop round, or those 2 are going to be my drop rounds. But I know that a lot of the drivers will be looking at Virginia and thinking the same thing I was mentioning before. It's really, really narrow there. They don't have the sort of playground around them like they do here at COTA. And I'm very, very intrigued by what we're going to see there. But still, they have to set themselves up for a good race here to make sure that this doesn't take up the slot as any of their drop rounds tonight. Only a couple of corners to go. Are we going to see Harley Horton do the same again, or are we going to see another masterful performance as we'd expect from Diogo Pinto? Then again, you look at the second row of the grid, Michael Janney and Josh Thompson. Flipping heck, if I had that in my rearview mirror, I'd be terrified.
I would as well, but Harley Horton and Diogo Pinto, the top 2 in the championship, on the front row of this grid. Right now, they have themselves 1.5 seasons worth of the Skip Barber Racing Series between them in the back pocket. But who's going to get a full season? Who's going to get a half season? Or will anybody else behind decide that they want to stake a claim here at Circuit of the Americas? Horton will do exactly the same as he did in the race prior. Hold everybody as long as he possibly can for the green flag to drop, and then get an absolute launch off of this start. Green flag drops and off goes Harley Horton, and in fact he does a lot better than he did in the first race. He gets himself a car length and a half climbing up the big red towards turn number 2. Everybody looks to scatter for a line into this opening section. It's going to get very dicey. A few drivers having to dive out of the way through the early stage to preserve their iRacing Formula IR04s, but ultimately everybody gets through. Now to the SS section, side by side. Lemonek gets through on Michael Janney, who has again gone backwards off of the start.
I didn't quite catch who it was, but I think Matt Adams had a tiny bit of contact with somebody, or it might have even been Banfield as well, you know, just front left wheel to right rear. It wasn't very big contact though, and they both got away with it, although there's a big wobble there actually by Hawkin through turn 8 and turn 9. He manages to collect that all up, but he lost a little bit of momentum there. It's very, very close in the opening stages once again, but you're absolutely right, Jake. Fantastic start by Harley Horton this time. In the first race, the whole field all moved at once. This time he got a very big jump over Diogo Pinto. Lovely little cutback manoeuvre there going on, I believe, between Lemonek and Maciejewski. Janney in there as well, trying to move over to the right-hand side and upset any momentum that Maciejewski's got. Fantastic camera here, chasing all the cars down the hill. But for the first time, we're going into turn 12, hard on the brakes.
Matt Buser, Michael Romanidis side by side in the bottom. Just in front of that then was Josh Pullein and Jordan Johnson. Massive lock up there into turn 12, the all-important left-hander, and Matt Buser getting out of the way. Romanidis will hold on to position just like that. But look at how they dance through this fantastic section. They know that if you can get to the inside here, you've got a really good chance of just boxing out anybody there. Josh Pillane is able to manage that, and suddenly Matt Buser again is looking to try and find a way through around the outside. He's not going to get there, and Matt Buser is someone who would have had limited time in terms of getting to practice here for this, because he would have been focusing on eNASCAR, which started off with Daytona a couple nights ago.
Yeah, that's it. Some of these drivers are in not just one championship at a top level like this, but they're in multiple, and the cars couldn't be any more different as well. So it really takes a lot of talent to be able to switch from one to the other like these guys do. Look at them moving around down the the start-finish straight there, just in the background, moving all the way over to the left-hand side, I believe. Was that Poulain? I don't think it was. Was it? Oh, that's a big old send up the inside there. And again, just displaying how wide turn one is. People can make these moves, but you lose out on the exit because all you do is compromise yourself, don't you?
Well, the basketball team's known as the Dallas Mavericks. Simone Pisoni was the most maverick of them all, going through up into turn one. How he got that stopped, I do not know. But Matt Buser here, pretty much the face of concentration. He's been at sim racing for over a decade, and he is someone who wants to kickstart a career. Look at how it goes through up at the top, and he sees behind just how much they are tripping over each other. There, likes of Ross Banfield, Sebastian Weldon, Matt Adams, they're all there. Look at them fanning. They're almost four wide, actually, as they go into turn 10. This is going to get scary quickly. They all jam on the brakes. Weldon will get ahead of Banfield then, with Pisoni, Zeiss, and Johannes Trout all there. This is the back of the field, racing for absolutely everything they can scrap and claw for.
Yeah, this is fantastic stuff, because these guys know that they need to just get away from everyone around them and try and break forward, get involved in some of those battle packs further up the order and get into the slipstream and stay with them. But this is where things, I don't want to say the word desperate, but it does look like it gets a bit desperate, because every single moment, yeah, there was a bit of contact early on, I think, with Banfield, and I think that's a result of that. It was the first corner. I said they had the front left to right rear contact. I think that sort of proves it. But there's another car behind, actually, and that is Pisoni.
Oh,
he's got a bit of smoke, and Johnson's around.
Yes, Jordan Johnson then, who goes around then at turn 15. It looks like he's done it all on his own potentially there. So he now drops by the entirety of the pack, and that is a huge shame for him. He was looking for a really good run here today around Circuit of the Americas. But as this group stacks, it's 0.8 of a second right now. Harley Horton trying to break away from Diogo Pinto. Took 1/10 of a second that last time out. Pinto will feel safe with Josh Thompson behind in third. But you've got Przemysław Lemonek behind, who, while his sim racing results at the highest level haven't been the best, his best results so far here, Chaz, being a 12th place in the Force Dynamics Noara iRacing Formula Championship. We've got carnage up at the Big Red, and that looks like a handful of drivers getting caught out. Simone Pisoni and Matthew Zeiss. Zeiss has had another awful race so far, but to go back to the point, despite the results of Przemysław Lemonek not being the best on paper, by talent, he looks quick, he feels quick, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, he's been fantastic, hasn't he? He's been a solid fixture near the top of the championship since the very beginning. He's just not had the breakthrough that some of the other drivers have had at the moment, and he's going to be fed up of being one of the bridesmaids at this point, I think, and this is definitely one of the rounds where he can really break through to the front. But yeah, there was a big old check-up and a bit of carnage there at the back of the field. Banfield, Johnson, Trout, Adams, Zeiss and Pisoni is apparently now in the pits and out of the race. We're going to take a look at a replay, Jake, and try and figure out how this all came about.
Yeah, and this is up into turn number one. You can see Pisoni gets right up onto that rear tyre, and he gets that inertia effect up over the top, and that's why the dramas are all there. But let's go back, because all of a sudden it's Josh Thompson who's got down the inside of Przemysław Lemonek. It looks like Diogo Pinto's lost 2 places. They were 3 wide going into turn 12, but on the outside, desperately trying to hang it around there is Josh Thompson, because he's got the inside for the triple right, and Przemysław Lemonek's not going to want to let this one go quickly. He's on the wrong side of the road, but he can still have an overlap. He's got a chance at the inside turn 19. Why don't you cross the beams and go for it around the outside? This is incredible stuff by Lemonek, but he's still going to try and run out. He's still on the wrong side of the road, and it opens up Diogo Pinto to the inside. A little bit of contact there, as now Pinto's going to get himself to the inside. And look at that, Lemonek looks like there is nothing wrong at all. This is completely fine. He's on the wrong side of the train, though, and it's allowing the 18 to close on in. Janny, Hawkin, all there behind, trying to get into the mix. Up the hill, 7 dancing. Oh, sorry, I correct myself, 6 dancing try and get through. And look at that, trying to pick a way through. That's Brandon Hawkins trying to get a look there. Sorry, that's Jani and Maciejewski trying to get a look.
Yeah, Maciejewski was very lucky there not to go into the back of Diogo Pinto. Pinto's got away with two very near bits of contact there in just the last couple of corners. He nearly went into the back of Thompson at turn 20, then into turn 1. He nearly had Maciejewski lifting the back end of the car off the floor. I love the idea, though, of Przemysław Lemonek. Nothing wrong at all. We turn around and there's 5 of the fastest racers we've got in iRacing, all lined up behind him, waiting to have a go. And he does not look one bit phased. It might just be the fact that he's that focused, he's not bothered. Still, epic racing, great stuff to see Thompson up there in second place. Lemonek third, Pinto, Jani, Maciejewski, and then Hawkins. There's only a small gap back to Poulain, Romanidis and Caruana, and even behind them as well, they've got Matt Buser in tow. This is excellent behaviour.
I tell you what, Przemysław Lemonek is one of the characters of sim racing, and that's why I love him. Every time he goes and races, there's a look for second, there's another lot of looks for 8. So to the inside then, covering his outside is Lemonek, inside is Josh Thompson. He gets through, massive contact tyre to tyre as they go through. They hold it together. Lemonek's going to go straight back to the inside. He wants to get aggressive. They make more contact, but Thompson is through, and he gets it through. Diogo Pinto now will sneak on through, but he's not got it secured just yet through this arena section, and he now finally does make the pass. Poulain holds off Caruana now. Romanidis has dropped to position, but this is excellent stuff right now. They are not afraid here in this second race, knowing they've got nothing left to race for tonight except 6 minutes and 50 seconds. They're going to get the elbows out.
I was worried for a moment there that Lemonek got damage from that contact. You know, it looked like the car wasn't behaving itself in the following corner. I think he got away with it, maybe just a bit shaken from that contact. You all know how easy it is to just get a bit of red mist and not quite focus on what you're doing. And now look, team weights outside of the championship working together here. Pinto just pushing Thompson down the start-finish straight. He's going to look down the inside. Lemonek fakes to the inside as well. Thompson covers off that inside line. Lemonek round the outside, loses the back end slightly, runs wide, and now down the inside. Jani, Maciejewski, they're all going to try and have a go. Jani's got through. He's just about going to get rid of the overlap as they go into turn 4. Yes, he does. Michael Jani now moves up into 4th position. He's having a good drive once again, is Michael. Car number 1, let's not forget, he qualified fastest this week. But look behind them, because here comes Poulain, Caruana, Romanidis, and Buser as well. This is going to become a 10-car train for second place.
Well, it means that there's going to be 8 people who aren't happy. There's Josh Poulain driving out of Cheltenham, which is not a million miles away from my neck of the woods. He's now going to try and get himself then into position. He's now got to try and look at this and go one at a time. In fact, why don't you start right now? Straight up the inside of Brandon Hawkins, the Canadian. Didn't see that one coming, and thank you very much. He finds himself the move, but does he have drive off of this exit? Because he'll know that Hawkins is going to try and get back alongside. The draft's going to be key, and just in front of that as well, Jani and Pinto are deciding to go at it as well. So everywhere you look in this trade, it's going to be busy. Josh Poulain now knows he's going to have to look because they're 3 wide. Here comes the big send up the inside. Thank you very much. Matt Caruana has himself a search, but look at Josh's ability just to hold stage, and he shuts the door then on Brandon Hawkins and says, thank you, that is mine.
Yeah, that was lovely composure there by Josh Poulain. He saw the move going on. He thought, you two just have that battle over there on the inside. I'm going to take my own line, and I'm going to cut back past the pair of you, and I'll have that again. Lovely camera work here by our guys at the iRacing Esports Network as well. I love seeing the fact that the cars are just going along, minding their own business. We turn around and suddenly there's other cars clambering around all over the back of them, and it just shows you it's definitely 2 sides to each story, isn't there, when we get those camera angles. Into the final couple of corners we go then, and once again we have a massive train of them leading back up the hill. 4.5 minutes, or just under that, left to go in this race, Jake. It could all still change yet. We've seen it in every round so far this season that it all can explode in the last moments. But one thing that's not changed is Harley Horton and a fantastic lead of over 4 seconds.
Matt Caruana has been working hard in this race. He is your hardest charger in this field. He started 15th. He is up to 8th. That is a gain of 7 places so far here in this one. He wants to make it a whole heap more if he can. So he will have the high charge reward at the end of this race, providing that he doesn't fall into the folly of making mistakes. But as they rush through now up the hill, this is a brilliant section, turns 8 and 9. Up the hill at 9, you are waiting for the power, but it's so easy to run wide, as demonstrated just there by Josh Poulain.
Yeah, it really is, because you're going over the crest and you can't quite see where the curve ends and where it finally straightens up. And the thing is as well, it's not quite like turns 3, 4, 5 and 6 before it, where you just flat out and you can just sort of gently grace the car through. You really have to be focused on just snapping onto the brakes a little bit, just to get that extra rotation, really throw the car in and manage the weight transfer one way then the other. But look at this train of cars. It's excellent to see, but Horton's gone up the road. Pinto now is almost acting like a rear tail gunner for Josh Thompson. He's got the championship lead coming into tonight, and he knows probably if he can hold on to third place and help his teammate out in the process, he could definitely hold the championship lead here. So this is excellent stuff. But Michael Janney is the first car behind them to have a go. It is, well, it's so close, Jake, but this is the sort of racing we love, isn't it?
We do, and if you love it, you can sign up yourself and join in, heading over to skipbarber.com/iRacing series to become a member here of the Skip Barber Formula iRacing series. Now flying around through the penultimate corner, turn 19, leading to turn number 20. Out on track. They will have 2 laps to go to figure this out between them at this stage, and you can join us and start your very own iRacing career today by logging on to iRacing.com. Brand new members get 40% off of their first membership as you get and go. Look to the outside then from Michael Janney. Won't be able to get that done at the big red there with Diogo Pinto, who saw that one every single stage of the way. You've got Przemysław Lemonek there. You've got Maciejewski, Josh Pillay, Matt Caruana, Brandon Hawkin, Michael Romanidis and Matt Busa. All there, all thinking about when is the right time to strike in this train. Expect 2 wide, expect 3 wide, but they're all gearing it up through this section of track to try and get a move done. And it is so vital that they maximise these next 3 corners, which is the biggest one. Josh Thompson taking a massive chunk of the grass out there through turn number 9.
Lemonek was taking really wide lines as well, trying to set this up, but all of it didn't really amount to much here as he gets into turn 11. Big send up the inside from Poulain as well on Maciejewski. They're side by side on the exit of the corner as well. I think the pair of them might have actually outdone Lemonek as well, have they? No, they have not. I apologise. It was the other blue car of Caruana just behind. They are glued to each other. Caruana pushing Poulain now down this back straight. The car wiggling around under the pressure. Very scary moment for Josh. Doesn't look like it when you look at his face, though. He looks calm as a cucumber, doesn't he? But right now, hang on, the phrase is cool as a cucumber. Ahead of them, Janney having a go at Pinto. And look at this, Maciejewski once again off the road. But great respect by Josh. Gives him the room to get back on. He doesn't keep him out there. And Maciejewski gets the place done. Janney ahead of Pinto, further ahead, though. And there's going to be 1 more lap to go after this, Jake. I never want it to end.
No, I don't either. Give them an extra hour. They could race forever at this point. But still, Diogo Pinto holds with some brilliant defence. Janney is throwing the kitchen sink at the Portuguese driver, but cannot find a way to unlock it. Michael Janney last season was 5th in this championship. He wants to do better than that, and he wants to throw everything he can to get up onto that podium, to stop Diogo Pinto's momentum, to keep himself in championship contention. You would have thought that is the gap at the front of the field. They are specks in the distance right now for Harley Horton. We have hardly shown him all race long, and the reason why is because it's the greatest compliment you can have as a driver to not be seen at the front of the field. You're doing too good. The action's elsewhere.
No news is good news, as they say. And full disclosure, I love the fact that our director said, meanwhile, when he switched to that shot of Harley Horton. One of the funniest things I've witnessed. But still, he's absolutely gone, and there's, well, the only reason for that is his composure and his pace. These guys battling as well, though, might have something to do with it, to be honest, as Chaz basically contradicts himself. But what entertainment these guys have given us, Jake. This has been an amazing race, especially the dynamics here of Thompson and Pinto, teammates outside of this championship, working together to hold this pack up, essentially, and just make it work how they want it to work. Josh has got great pace. Pinto has got incredible defensive ability, and even somebody like Michael Janney has not been able to find a chink in the armour yet. A couple of corners left to go, about half a lap. Let's see what he can do.
Well, nobody decided to make a move, and that is crucial. So now Michael Janney looks to close on in. We'll look from the back of the man from Ramsey, the Isle of Man, Josh Thompson, who will now see to the inside goes Diogo Pinto, who might have to attack here to make the move happen. Janney then's going to go to the outside, try and make it happen. They box him, they completely box him in, and they might decide to race too wide. Here comes Diogo Pinto to the outside, trying to make the move happen. Josh Thompson's going to have to look around him every which way, because Diogo might search for the inside here, and he's got the angle to go. Look at him behind. Oh my goodness, there's almost massive carnage they go through. Lemonek is shoved out about 3 leagues over to the right, still side by side to the triple right. While this happens, Harley Horton is going to take the double here at Circuit of the Americas. He'll come to the line, but look at this. This is for 6th, and it's off the 3rd. It's 3 wide per second. It's 3 wide per second as they come to lines of victory there as they go through. Who's got it then through 2nd position? It's Josh Thompson, and Michael Janney will take 3rd. Pinto 4th, Maciejewski 5th, and about 5 cars trying to finish it out for 10th place. Oh my goodness me, you needed about 80 different eyes and 3,000 different cameras to show just how brilliant that second race was.
How all of those guys in that second pack made the end of that race there, I do not know. Matt Caruana got smashed into by the number 17 machine of Josh Poulain, and somehow Josh made it through, but I think he might have been penalised or something for that because he suddenly dropped to the bottom of our timing screen here. I'm not quite sure how quickly that was applied. Yeah, he must have done, because he went flying off the road, but somehow still made the end of the race. It was incredible entertainment, but boy, oh boy, they certainly showed us they wanted that. But well done again, Harley Horton. What a drive.
Yeah, 6.7 seconds at the end of the day is the victory margin ahead of Josh Thompson and Michael Janney in 3rd. Diogo Pinto will take 4th ahead of the 2 Polish drivers, Jakub Maciejewski and Przemysław Lemonek. Matt Caruana would take hard charge and would finish off in 7th ahead of Michael Romanidis in 8th and Brandon Hawkin in 9th. It would be Matt Buser who would round out the top 10. Jordan Johnson would finish 11th ahead of Sebastian Weldon in 12th position, with Ross Banfield 13th and Matt Adams in 14th, ahead of Matthew Zace and Johannes Traut 15th and 16th. It would have been a slowdown penalty which was unable to be served before reaching the line. That would have been what cost Josh Poulain all those positions. So he gets his number in the hot lap qualifying. He gets 17th. And we saw the dramas of Simone Pisoni doing his best reenaction of 2002 Rubens Barrichello at the Australian Grand Prix, his race over and done with. But one thing we can say is that Harley Horton does have himself a victory, and he's here with us right now at the double. Harley, that is what we call an even better result than the first race. You broke a second once again, and then once more you just watched as Josh and Diogo decided, you know what, we're going to hold the rest of the pack up. You're gone.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they would try and chase me down, and at one point they were closing in on me just a tiny bit, and then yeah, all of a sudden I look in my relative and they're all within like 3/10 of each other battling. So at that point I knew I just had to keep it steady, keep it consistent, and everything would be all right. So yeah, bit of a bigger gap than the last race, but it's still not any easier. It's extremely hard to run that pace for even 15 minutes.
Extremely difficult to run a very tough pace, especially in a very tough race like this. But when you look to try and bring all the elements together, just talk us through your week in terms of getting ready for this race, going through the hot laps, all of the time that you spend with setup, trying to get the car working as much as possible to your driving style. What do you go through as a process of a sim racing driver to try and be as fast as possible come tonight?
Well, obviously, first you've got to go through the hot lap qualifier, and that's a whole beast in itself. That's just trying to string as many, perfect corners together and try and get the lap in. But then once you think you've got a lap that's going to get you in, you have to move on to some sort of quali prep, race prep. It's really tricky to drive these cars consistently, and especially here without any sliding at the rear, which just kills your momentum. So very tough car to master. But yeah, prep is all about being consistent. That's what wins your races.
Well, the next 2 races happen in a week from now. You're heading to the Virginia International Raceway. How do you prepare for that track? It's not a track which everybody's running iRacing, but at least for you, you have that understanding of it's very similar to this COTA circuit by makeup and composition.
Yeah, it's got a few nice elevation changes, a bit more of a fun track than this one, but very similar, lots of high-speed stuff, heavy braking. So it's another tough track to master. COTA's very technical, and so is VIR. So it is going to be about that consistency and just trying to get everything right lap after lap.
Well, hopefully we will see that happen for you. Harley Horton then a double victory, a 3rd race win of the season, and absolutely storming back towards the top of the championship tables. Chaz, you've taken a walk down virtual pit lane and you've found your way to Michael Janney.
I have indeed, Michael. I mean, you worked very, very hard for that podium there, mate. There was certainly a lot of times where you had to try and have a dig at Diogo and Josh. And, of course, with those two being teammates outside of this championship, did you expect that they'd work together like that?
Yeah, definitely. I went for an attempted overtake, I think in a turn 13 on probably lap 4 or 5, and then I realized Josh was backing it up, so I'm like, oh man, I'm really gonna have to work for this. And yeah, I mean that last lap was insane. I didn't even plan it out; it just kind of worked out. And I knew that I had to do something. So even though I was danger close to his left tires, I was just gonna keep my foot in it and try my best to get that podium.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you say there, you had to plan it out a little bit and just try and make it work. But in a lot of the situations when the racing is so close like this, does all of that go out of the window most of the time, do you find? Or does a lot of it go to plan?
It kind of depends on who you're racing, to be honest.
Yeah.
And also like where you are in the race, right? Because like lap 1, 2, the guys are probably going to go for sends, and then in the middle they'll kind of calm down a bit. But yeah, with the long braking zones here, it's you never know really. I mean, 3 or 4 times tonight I was sent, and the only reason I saw it is just because peripheral in the mirror. And yeah, I mean it's really insane. I'm really impressed. Last year the racecraft was good in the series, but I think this year it's at another level. Just how close we can get to these guys, and there's no major issues up front is really cool. It's nice as well. I mean, this is so much fun. It's like a go-kart race, literally. It's very fun.
I mean, from where we are as well, it's absolutely some of the best racing I've ever seen on the service. These cars really do sort of hand themselves to it, and I love watching it. I mean, we've got 2 fantastic racetracks lined up for the rest of the season, Virginia and then Road America. Are you excited for those 2 as well?
Yeah, definitely. Those are repeats, so I know what I did last year, and I want to improve on both those results. So definitely looking forward to them.
Well, we certainly hope it goes well for you, Michael. Thanks for joining us, mate, and well done on tonight.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Very composed and well-spoken Michael Janney there. Certainly enjoyed himself. And it's great to see that the drivers are enjoying it as well, isn't it, Jake? It really is. Absolutely.
And Diogo Pinto, I think, is one of those said drivers. Diogo, 2nd in race 1, 4th in race 2. Let's talk about race 1 first and foremost, because you had to work those 3 places up and forward, and I think was a lot more simpler of a race to deal with.
Yeah, race 2 was, well, race 1. Race 1 was pretty straightforward. I got up to P2. I didn't have the pace to catch Charlie, and yeah, I got a bit lucky at the end. I got a gap behind, so wasn't much going on there. The second race, I was just working with Josh, so we could go P2, P3. I wanted to pass him on the last lap. I had a bad run up to the back straight, so I couldn't quite get the position. So yeah, a bit unlucky getting 4th instead of at least a 3rd or a 2nd place, but let's see. Still some okay points and 2 rounds to go.
When you have a wingman like Josh Thompson, someone who has been in sim racing for a number of years, has understood sim racing at the highest level with a number of great and capable teams, just how crucial is that sort of experience brought to you as a driver?
We're just working as teammates for the second race. There's not much else to say. I was trying to defend him a bit, and then on the last lap, I wanted to overtake him, but like I said, I couldn't really get the move done. I had a bad exit because I have a bit of more of an aggressive line that doesn't work as well following someone, because I need to enter the corner faster than the guy ahead of me. So it doesn't really work when I have someone blocking me in front, which really compromised my exit, and that was that. Then Janney could get the move done, and I got 4th.
Virginia International Raceway then, which is 1 week from today. You still go in with a margin up the front, but you look at the 2 results that Harley have had today. Do you think that this is by no means, firstly, 1, a settled championship, and 2, each week seemingly someone else has got the magic formula?
Well, we'll see. I mean, in the second race as well, I got there was a situation there with the start. We were supposed to go on green, and Ali went a little bit before green, which helped him get a gap towards me and break the draft. So that's going to be up to race control. We're supposed to go on green, and that was not the case on the second race, so we'll see what they decide. But yeah, for sure, there's still 2 rounds to go. I think I have quite a big gap in the overall championship, but then there's 2 drop rounds, so it evens things up a bit. So let's see.
Let's see indeed. Diogo Pinto there joining us with a podium and a 4th place out of the 2 races here tonight. And Chaz, very quickly, you found yourself over with Josh Thompson.
Yes, indeed, Josh. A very, very busy night for you guys. Plenty going on near the front, but finally you've got that podium that you've been threatening to get since the very start. You must be relieved as well as very happy with it.
Yeah, like you said, to finally get another podium, especially after Atlanta. We started off the season a bit slow, but being just slow, making my way through the field, getting upturn podiums, being consistent over championship, and that's the main thing. Especially this point system, it's got to be super consistent. At the moment, I've not touch wood had a really bad score yet, so it's got to keep building on that, and hopefully by the end of the season we get a win. That's the aim. That's all game at the moment.
Well, we hope that happens for you, Josh, and obviously on a personal level as well. I've seen you come through the ranks for so long now. It's good to see it going well. One final quick question, though, because we do have to move things on, I'm afraid. But the 2 circuits remaining on the calendar, are you excited about them? Are you sort of apprehensive about them? What do you think?
VIR, yes. Road American, no. Regardless of the tracks, I think me and Diogo both know we've got a bit of work to do with Harley's pace tonight. It was kind of ridiculous. He just left everyone standing still, so... we've got to go full attack. So let's see. Any track can throw up a surprise.
Absolutely. Well, very well done either way, Josh. Great to see that podium tonight, mate. Well done, and we will see you in a week's time.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, there you have it there. Josh Thompson, who is there joining us and bringing us through with some incredible action. But we head to the brand new, remodeled Virginia International Raceway here on iRacing, February 23rd. 8 p.m. Eastern is when it's going to be taking place. And Chaz, you look at this track, it has all of the hallmarks of some great corners. And last season, we saw it all effectively come to a bulkhead here. This championship is looking so similar, it is scary.
Oh, absolutely. It is by no means over yet, and this is an absolute classic of a racetrack that we're going to be going to. It's got very twisty sections, it's got start-stop sections, massive undulation, and all of it takes place on a really narrow circuit, an old-school circuit with loads of grass around it that gives you absolutely no margin for error. I am really hyped about Virginia.
I'm hyped as well, and you can catch that with us, of course, with iRacing. What an incredible showcase we've had here once again, but it is at the double for the 2nd consecutive week, but this time it's Harley Horton. Horton, here's who? Nobody. He's that far ahead of the rest of the field. We'll catch you 1 week from today. We will move over to VIR, where the 7th and 8th races take place.